PJNet.TV, 9 p.m. East Coast time, Wednesday, February the 10th. And we have a bumper rolling. You can see that. You can hear me. We are recording this for later production. We are also streaming it live to multiple destinations. And I see the streaming server is in sync. And I see a chat room awaiting our guest. So let's do a countdown to Studio 13. Well, good evening and welcome to PJNet.TV. I'm your host, Coach Prasick, and what an honor and joy it is to sit here night after night the way we do. Let me move my coffee cup. That's kind of ugly right there, isn't it? So, folks, it is, by the way, Wednesday. If you're watching this live Wednesday, the 10th at 9 p.m., and you're seeing this somewhere like Facebook or something like that, we're so glad that you stopped in to see us, and we hope to make this worth your time. But I would invite you to pjnet.tv. That is where our live chat room is. There are some friends that you haven't met yet over there waiting to meet you. And we've also got a program. It is the second Wednesday of the month. When's that? Well, that's now. Lori Hayes comes and joins us, and she is standing by with a smile on her face. Lori, you have such a radiant smile. And folks, we were talking off air, and that smile belies. What is the word I'm looking for? It's good to be able to smile in the midst of such turmoil that we're all experiencing. But, folks, we were sharing off the air. You've got 2 books coming up, and I know you want to talk about those, but it's going to be great, and you have to think of it as that because it is a heck of a lot of work for someone, even for someone like you that's retired and has nothing else to do.
Hardly.
How do you find time?
I don't find time. I make time. I get up at 6 or 6:15 every morning. I write on my book before I go to work. I have to be at work at 9, so I leave at 8:15. I often bring my laptop to work and work at lunch. And then when I get home, I cook for my kids. And then when they're teenagers, so when they disappear in the room, I write some more until about probably 9 o'clock at night. So honestly, I feel like I have 2 full-time jobs, and of course, my priority over that is my children. So,
well, and they do their own dishes too, and they wash their own clothes and all that, right?
They do actually.
Yay! Good
I'm
for
training them right.
Good for you, actually. It is good for you because you don't have to do it, but no, good for you for training them to take responsibilities and. Master simple tasks because as we know as adults, life gets more complicated, and if you don't have that foundational work ethic, you're actually working 2 different jobs. So obviously you're a mother, you're writing a book. And I remember the initial excitement back last fall when you signed that contract. I mean, you were just, walking on air. But now the grind of the deadlines and the intensity of the effort and all the things you just described, however much you love your work, at some point it must really wear you down.
Yeah, it does. I knew I was going to make my deadline because that's how I am. I knew I would stay up until midnight every night if I had to make my deadline. And while I'm doing it, it is just work, and you kind of have this adrenaline going. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't feel it until after I turned my book in. And then I had another book due within a month of that. And I hadn't even started on it. And so while I was working on that book, I kept getting edits from the first book. So I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to juggle this?
Well, and you have to switch, you have to switch gears to get back in that zone. And that's I know that sounds easy, but it really isn't, is it?
No. And the voice is a little bit different. And I think each book that you write, you get better and better. And then when you go back and you read the first book, it doesn't read quite like the second book, and it's kind of jolting. So then you have to kind of get back into that voice again, do all your edits. And usually the first edits, at least for me, are kind of extensive. And and I didn't have that long to do them. And I just had asked her, I said, I know we're under a crunch, but I really, I'll just give this to you as fast as I can. And I worked day and night on it. And she knew since I delivered, I guess, on my first deadline that I would get it done. And I did. It was a huge cost to probably me and my health, and really one of the things that I had to give up was exercise. And I hated to do that, but there was just no extra time in the day at all, not even a minute.
How's your social life?
Well, forget the social life. There is none. And but right now I'm just devoting this time to my career, so I'm okay with that. But then I had a month to do this other book with edits in between. And it was pretty stressful, and it was Christmas time on top of it, the holidays. The first time my book was due was around Thanksgiving. The second time was January 25th. So the second book was easier. The first book I had to switch from third person to first person, which was a humongous change. That's from she to I. And so I got deeper into it, and I did some major edits on that book, but I wanted it to be right. So when I turned my book in on January 25th, I was pretty darn exhausted, and I didn't even realize it. But when I turned that in, I promised myself I'm going to take a month off. So here I am. I'm in my month, but it's not really turning out that I'm off. Actually, I thought, I'm going to deep clean my house. I'm going to rest. I'm going to play. I did go out to dinner a couple times with some friends. That was unusual, and it felt really good. Even though we're in a pandemic, we managed to still go out to dinner. But, and I have a writing retreat that I'd like to go to. So even though you might be kind of stressed, it's still a relaxing place. I go to the beach, of course. And then after a month, so after January 25th, I really haven't been writing anything, but I just got my final proofs back on my first book. And that's the final draft that you look through to make sure there are no periods missing or misspelled words, things like that. So that's the last time I think I will see it until it's in print form, and it's coming out June the 8th. And then my second book I turned in, but I haven't even gotten my first edits back yet. So I'm kind of hoping she waits just a little bit so I can relax a little bit. I'm not quite ready to delve into that yet, but that book's coming out October 18th. So I have two coming out this year.
Why do you write books in pairs?
She bought it in a pair. So
you have a package deal?
I had a 2-book deal, so there you go.
Well,
but I had taken a hiatus a little while ago. I guess that was 2018, beginning of 2019 book, and then wrote another book, and those are the 2 books that they bought. So, but they had tweaks and things that they wanted me to do to that. So
if you had it to do over again, what would you change?
Well, I would have written it in the first person to begin with. that
then
would
they'd have wanted it third person.
Yeah, right. I definitely write better in first person, and I like first person better. I know some people don't like to read first person, but I just get closer to my characters that way, and I get more in their head. So I agree with her when she asked me to switch. So from now on, I think I'm just going to start writing in first person, at least for now.
Okay. When you go into these things, you have first you're euphoric, you're all pumped up, you got a deal, and you think, but then the reality as the deadlines approach and as you're under the pressure to meet them, it can take the joy out of it to some extent. I mean, let me compare it to taking a vacation. I have seen people go on vacation, or while they're on vacation, and I'm convinced why are you doing this to yourself? It can be very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I already know you've shared before when you have a stress management technique that is individual to you, but it works. So how do you escape that reality? But you do working stress management. You work and do stress management, kind of like go to the beach.
I do. I have to go to the beach. I have to do something. So even though I'm working, I go to the beach and I just try to check out. I'm blessed because I have a beach retreat that I like to go to. I can lie in my bed and look out the window and see the ocean. I can fall asleep, even if the door's not open. I can hear the ocean, and it just is very relaxing, almost meditative, and that definitely helps. So then I'm an early riser anyway. So in the morning when I get up, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll just sit there and I'll write before I even get out of bed. And then I'll get up and I'll move into the living room, which I also have a view of the ocean there. It's great. So you can kind of relax and write. And then I always, even in North Carolina, it's not that cold. So each time I go there, if the weather is sunny or not raining, I will be out on that beach. I don't care if I'm the only person out there. I will go out and I'll walk and just try to work off some of the stress. But it's pretty hard to be stressed when you're at the beach. But I mean, I can only go to the beach every other weekend or once a month, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But in my everyday life, I have a beautiful view outside my window. I have a lot of trees around me. So I've created my space here to also be relaxing. So that definitely helps too.
Well, until a hurricane comes along, yeah, that'll be fine. Trees can be troubling things in a hurricane. Did I hear you say that you're kind of doing two jobs? And did I hear you say you're taking your laptop in during your lunch break?
I do sometimes. I work for the same company, but I work in two different buildings. So in the one building, I get a longer lunch break. So I'll just pull out my laptop and I'll sit there and I'll write.
Really?
Yeah, and sometimes I have to go in the other room where I can't hear anybody or talk to anybody.
Go in the bathroom or something.
I mean, we have two rooms, so I can just go and sit at the other table, or there's a library there that I'll go, and it has a view of the lake, so I'll sit there and I'll write there. That's nice.
What do your coworkers think about that?
At first they thought I was being unsociable, but I just explained to them how I have a book due and I have to get this done. And especially the times where at the very end, there's a read aloud button on Word document, or I'll put it on my Kindle and read it out loud because it sounds differently. And so I definitely don't want to disturb anybody's lunch.
No, you don't want anybody to pass by and think you're crazy.
And hear my books. But I mean, it definitely takes a commitment for sure. And I pride myself on meeting my deadline. So that's just my thing. I mean, I always try to be early for my appointments, and I try to be early for my deadlines. I'll either be a couple days early or I'll be right on the day, but I'll usually turn it in a couple hours early because that just makes me feel good. Like, I turned it in early, even if it's 2 hours.
Can you teach some of our millennials that idea?
I don't think so.
I'm amazed, and to me, it's if I'm not early, what is it? If you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late, is how JD says it. But it's good. So, what if somebody sees this and they're thinking about writing a book? They might think, "Gosh, this is horrible. I can't do that. Is it worth it?"
I think that's a personal decision because I'm not sure really what drives me other than I like to be successful and I like to finish what I start. And I just have this perseverance that I just don't quit until it's done. So for me, the reward is getting it finished. Now, if a person doesn't have that, they have to figure out what their reward is in it, because it is a lot of work, but it's also rewarding because after it goes back and forth from the editor, when you get that final copy, sometimes you almost don't recognize it from the first copy. It's just so polished and smooth, and I read those first sentences and I thought, wow, did I write that? So I mean, that was kind of a neat experience. And when you sort of use, it's a PDF file, but it looks like the book form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really exciting to see that.
Well, you're almost done. You're almost there. But then really, once the book is out, a whole new set of jobs start, because books, we'd like to think they sell themselves, but
no,
they don't, except to your mom and dad and uncle.
Right. And, you really need to have a large platform, social media followers.
And, well, you have that. So you keep saying the books. We have a couple of minutes. How much can you tell us about the books?
So the first one of, I don't know. I'll just tell you.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but
I don't know. The first book is down at the coast, North Carolina coast, like my other books. It's all part of a series. So this is book 3. And then the one coming out in October is book 4. So book 3 it's a love story, and it includes the small town with a neighboring island that has the wild horses on it.
I was going to say, any wild horses in there?
Absolutely. And then the one in October it's also in that small town, but it's wintertime, so the wild horses really aren't in it. They're mentioned a few times, but it's mostly a sort of a coastal Christmas love story, and it has some letters that they discover in an old attic when she's renovating from the Vietnam War. And I had to do extensive research on the Vietnam War, which I don't even like history. So I had to do months of that. And I got into it, and I really want to go there and visit Vietnam, but I really got into it, and I'm really excited about these letters that I think it adds to the story. It's a romance in itself, along with the romance of the main characters. So I'm really excited about that book. I'm excited about both of them.
Well, I can tell. I think anybody that sees and hears this can tell you're excited about it. Just checking in the chat room, and a lot of people wishing you well.
Thank you.
Sherry Lynn Bisbano says, third person to first person is a lot of work. Now, if anybody would know, okay, Sherry Lynn Bisbano would know. And,
yes.
Okay, well, it's a lot of work. Well, it's, so by next month. By next month at this time, when we see you again, how much well, you obviously be a month closer. When is the first release, you said?
June the 8th.
Okay, so it'll be getting kind of warmer by then. But
yes.
But you'll be done, right? I mean, once the publisher has it from the...
I'm already finished with it, and I'm looking over my last proof. And it's due January 23rd, and then I doubt I will see it again until it's in print form.
Cover art and all that kind of stuff.
And then I will be...
When's that coming?
And then I'm sorry?
When does the cover art and all that come in?
That's actually been done for a little while. I just don't know that I can share it. That's finished on the first book, but not the second book. Oh. So I'll ask, and maybe the next time I will have it with me.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah, do a cover reveal, I think they call it, or what, But but that's great. Well, Lori, you're an inspiration, and I tell you, I do admire, single mom, raising 2 teenagers of all things, working a full-time job, and writing 2 books back to back. But you radiate a lot of joy, girl. You really do. There's a lot of fire in that furnace, and we appreciate you unleashing that. And we can't wait to hear from you next month. And
thank you.
Well, can't wait.
And
for
I
the
can't
books.
wait to start on the next one.
Oh my! You just
you're
a glutton for punishment.
I know, but it's been a couple years since I've actually just had a chance to just write, just free write.
Just write.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
It's just all been editing lately.
Well, it's all work, but it's all worth it at the end, and I just can't wait for that moment. But thanks for sharing with us tonight, and we not only congratulate you, we're proud of you, and your testimony, your work ethic, and the way you carry it so gracefully is a good thing for all of us, and appreciate you sharing tonight, Lori.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Lori Hayes right here. Look at that. The view from, and I can't demonstrate it, but that's a PTZ, folks. It's got motors in it. It rotates and moves up and down and all that kind of stuff. That is the view high atop the Eagle's Nest Studios, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. I guess I can take that website off the screen now. Wow. In just a few moments, folks, Michelle Medlock Adams will be visiting with us, and she has been absent last week, I think. It'll be good to see her again, won't it? Okay, well, that's coming up at the bottom of the hour, so I've got to make preparations for that. We've got about 9 minutes, and Miss Barbara of Sunbelt Girl, our associate producer, will be playing some wonderful tunes and videos for you if you're in the pjnet.tv chat room. So before I leave, I would challenge you to ask yourself these 2 questions. Here's the first one. Okay, what is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And number 2, when was that? I hope none of us will be satisfied with either answer.